Hello and welcome, DCL fans. Alright, let me go ahead and link the stream to everybody. But today we're going over some fantasy picks, predictions, all that stuff. Right, link here. Bang! Alright. So, gotta do some Preds here. Alright. I have a cat on my lap. This is epic. Say hi. Alright. So, DCL Fantasy. If you guys are new here, you can join late if you want. Like, we give some points out if you haven't participated yet. 15 points per week. So if you join right now, it would be 45 free points. Pretty epic. What is that sound? There's a cat purring into the mic, low-key. But yeah. So here we are, we're doing some Preds, all that stuff. Gotta figure out who's winning. And also, we need to prep for Dougal, because he said he doesn't know what to bring. What's Dougal's matchup? Where is he? Am I blind? He's right here. Versus PZZ. Anyways. What's the plan here? Oh, he says he's 3-20 in mocks this week. That's rough out there. That is rough. Right, Meowscarada Keldeo. Yo, there's a Hydrapple. Meow 6-0's quit the LARP. There is a Hydrapple and a Quillfish. So, Treads is kind of ass, because Hydrapple plus Rotom, like, get a job. What else here? Don't care, I'm picking you. Yep. We gotta pick Dougal in the pick'ems, right? Wait, if he's 3-20, we might have to pick PZZ in the fantasy, right? That would make sense. Alright. But anyways. Let's start with Yoshi's versus Surfers. I see some of these games. So Gorex versus Hackers, interesting. I mean, pretty even player matchup, I think. All things considered. I mean, Ogerpon Cornerstone has looked pretty nice this season, but also there's another Ogerpon Hearthflame on the other side, but Rock beats Fire. We do know this to be true. Alright. I mean, Water Resist, where are they at? I mean, the Greninja looks pretty good here. Deoxys, you have a Tinkaton. Tiger having to come off the self bench due to Hedge being banned could be big aura. Yo, his team needs him. Out here saving the day from big bad Hedge getting banned. That's kind of wild, by the way. If you actually know why Hedge got banned, it's kind of ridiculous, but that's neither here nor there. Raging Bolt Mirror is interesting. Is one of them going to be Terra Fairy as like a Draco immunity to the other one? I think if anyone's going to be Terra Fairy, it's going to be Hacker. And it looks pretty reasonable, to be honest, to be Terra Fairy on Hacker's side. I mean, the Tinkaton is still going to check you, but at least you have a Draco immunity on your side, because otherwise the opposing Bolt looks very, very tricky to deal with. So I think Gorex definitely has the matchup initially looking at it, because like his Bolt is better, his Gren's really good, Ogerpon beats the other Ogerpon, like Rock Resist where? There's no Rock Resist on this roster. So I think Gorex probably quite handily takes this one if I'm Predding. Alright, Agent Flame versus Finchinator, AV Lando for Bolt. Yeah, buddy, that guy dies to Specs Draco like, actually dies. Alright. But either way. Agent Flame versus Finchinator. Alright. So Finch with like the Torn Tinglu Goldango type thing. Agent Flame with like the very unique build. We don't really see Annihilate too often, especially without Terra. That's like definitely new. I think that's a transaction from mids, because I'm pretty sure this Annihilate was Terra before. But either way. Alright, so the flying checks are Ampharos Klefki for the Torn. I mean, Terra Ground covers both of them, but then you're weak to Greninja, so... yeah, maybe not the greatest Torn matchup ever. There's also a Dragalge that can kind of just wall Torn low-key. And what's switching in on Dragalge? Well, Goldango, so it's not that bad. Tinglu, yeah, you're fine. How's the Gren looking? The Gren's looking very, average. I think Swords Dance Gren is probably your best bet, but you can't really Terra that guy, because it's not a Terramon. I would love to see Terra Ghost SD here, but, sadly it's not in the cards. DD Mew owns? What would DD Mew even run? You need something for Tinglu, so that would be like fighting coverage, CC or low kick. Probably CC. Set sail on this journey as we cover the greatest winning streak of all time by Admiral C. CC EQ Axel. Yeah, you need Axel for the D Knight, I guess, yeah. Yeah, that probably works. Yeah, would you be Terra Ground? Trying to set up on Goldango quite safely. I don't know. What Terra would be the Mew? Because do you need an offensive, like Terra typing? Actually, super effective coverage for all 8, that is true. But do you need like the boost from the stab Terra type thing? Or can you be like a more purely defensive type, like what? Like Fairy? Set up alongside Dragonite, like Ghost to block E-Speed? Could do that. If you were Ghost, it could be Terra Blast over EQ, but nah, no, probably still be EQ. You'd be Steel. I wouldn't be Steel, but that's just me. I mean, with Steel, you set up on like Ogerpon and like maybe Dragonite, but I guess Torn as well, somewhat. Maybe. I would probably consider like Fairy or I don't know, maybe you don't even need Terra and you can Terra your Gliscor. It's like Psychic is low-key not even that bad here. You'd maybe want the option to Terra into Tinglu, but other than that, it's pretty decent in everything else. So Gliscor? Is Gliscor a big threat? I mean, kind of, yeah. Would you run like knockoff plus EQ? Seems somewhat reasonable. Knock EQ SD protect type stuff? Probably. So Mew wins. Gren is pretty decent. I wonder if you screens Klefki into like Double Dance Gliscor, SD Gren, DD Mew. I feel like that could be definitely an option for this team. Does Finch have the tools for that? I mean, Whirlwind Tinglu is annoying for that, but you're gonna run out of HP eventually. You're gonna get knocked by Gliscor, almost guaranteed. What is the Torn gonna do? I mean, yeah, the Ampharos maybe? Do you bring Ampharos over the Annihilate here? That feels wrong. That definitely feels wrong, because like the fighting resists on this team are not... I guess they're fine, right? I don't know. Annihilate does seem pretty nice still. Loki, you could put Ampharos over it though. In that slot, when all else fails, honest screens would prevail. Yeah. emphasis on honest, right? I'd probably pred Ancient Flame though. I think these setup threats are very potent. And look at me, I'm predding 2 Yoshi players back to back. This is what's wrong with me. Is Yoshi's gonna double their wins this week? Who's to say? Alright, Cookie versus Harris. Let's see. A Meow Keldeo team versus this team, which is newly edited at mids, it looks like, with Screamtail definitely not on this team pre-mids. I do remember this core though. These 3, very fairy weak. So you solve that with a Toxapex and Ogrepon, Hearthflame, and Corviknight all on the same team. Makes a lot of sense, because a lot of people were just kind of spamming Terra Fairy into this top 3 kind of thing, and being quite successful. So Toxapex low-key smokes this team. Like, low-key. Because you just toxic everything except Scizor, which you wall, right? So, yeah, it seems pretty good. And you naturally check the Keldeo. You can run something like Gunk Shot if you wanted to, get around like Taunt Keldeo. Definitely an option, So, I think Harris is just winning this one. Alright, Legion Flame versus Gelbel 3C. The Terra's Rude. Oh, there's a Hydrapple on the other side, and Hydrapple is always a pretty good matchup into Zarude teams. Let's see. What is Hydrapple gonna do, though? Would you be Terra Fire here? No. Lando Prim. So... I wonder what the Hydrapple's gonna be. Maybe Poison? Deal with Sneasler, Zarude, and Primarina to an extent. I think Poison is pretty reasonable. What happened to Zarude? I feel like that guy has had no results lately. Well, with people taking it earlier in the auction, its surrounding cast has gotten considerably worse than it used to be. And also people haven't quite figured out what pairings work best with Zarude yet. It's like not an easy question to solve. You know what I mean? So the team strength has been a little bit poor, but Zarude always feels like the big boss once you get in the game. Right, Valiant Gren. And Gren has to deal with Primarina, but that's pretty much it. So you can kind of run a mixed Gunk Shot set if you want to. Probably going to see Kibiaberry on the Primarina to deal with, you know, Gunk Shot Gren, Poison Jab Valiant, Petrarunt, Malignant Chain, all that sort of thing. It just makes a lot of sense. So Kibiaberry I would really expect to see. If not, I would be shocked. Yeah, I think low-key, maybe Landers can like solo, because you can kind of get it in for free on a lot of stuff. But is it strong enough? Because like Hydrapple, if it's poison, then you threaten that with Lando Earth Power. Mandibuzz becomes the switch in, but if you Rock Slide that, it could be pretty nice, right? Because that's the only ground resist. I could kind of see like a Balloon Gren. Is that wild? Because like what else are you supposed to do versus Lando? Maybe that's a little bit too shiced. But like Mandibuzz being the only ground check, maybe a Hydrapple has to tear into something that's like decent into Lando. What's the point in Terra Medi? I don't know. I do not know, man. How's Val looking? I mean, Val, as usual, clicks Moonblast and everything falls over. Like, what's the Moonblast check on this team? It has to be like a Zarude defensive Terra type, right? Because otherwise, like, I'm just clicking Moonblast, man. And I'm low-key gonna be Choice Specs. Like, low-key Choice Specs Val. Could see it. Support that with like a Parting Shot Petrarunt to get it in. I kind of see the vision. I kind of see it. Alright. So I think I'll probably just pred Legion here. Yeah. I think Landers being your biggest threat is probably not the greatest. Right? And there's plenty of threats on Legion's team, so I'll go with that. Now, Paddocks versus High Jump Kick, High Jump. That's Theodore Manny. Let's see. So he's kind of made a lot of transactions to this team, where it's definitely more of a standard Theo build. You have your Slowking Torn Regen Core with Reuniclus as well. Unaware Clef, Scizor, he loves this exact kind of thing with a Sableye. Stunfisk, like, it's very classic Theo. The only thing that's like a little bit interesting is the Buzzwole. You don't really see that in the Reuniclus, I guess. Those are kind of rarer picks, but also they fit the team. Dragon Apple could be Roselli for Prim. I don't really like Dragon Apple here, unfortunately. I mean, Fickle Beam is awesome, sure, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like you want to be spamming Fickle. I think I'd rather be spamming like Grass plus Giga Drain plus like Earth Power with Nasty Plot, maybe. I think like something like that would be maybe a little bit more threatening. But anyways, Sword and Shield. So can Paddocks break the stall? Lottie trick a Scarf to something GG. Yeah, you could definitely trick. Probably you're going to catch the Scizor or the Clef. I wonder if Theo runs like Tricky Barb Clef. So then you have a Trick Absorber. And then if you get tricked a Scarf, you can just trick it back. You know? I feel like that could be pretty interesting. Because you Tricky Barb with like the Heatran. All of a sudden, switching into Moonblast becomes really quite a chore. So I really like that as a Clefable idea for Theo. Do you need like a Heal Bell? Probably not, right? You have Clef and Reuniclus as status absorbers. Do you need Unaware? I mean, I don't think so. I think you can check pretty much everything without Unaware. Like CM Latios, you have Scizor still, like a pretty hard wall. Does it get Mystical Fire this gen? It does, right? So never mind. But like, Reuniclus can check that, Slowking can T-Wave it. It's probably fine. You could go AV Torn if you really need to. Zeraora is the interesting one, but there's a Stunfisk, so you probably don't need Unaware. So I think Tricky Barb Clef makes a lot of sense. How's the Crook looking? I mean, the Crook, you can carry Aerial Ace for the Buzzwole. Looks pretty good. T-Spike into Theo. You could be T-Spike Wheezing, yeah. I mean, I feel like everything's just going to be Boots, though, right? Or Magic Guard. Like, what is T-Spike actually hitting? Maybe the Fisk after knockoff? Sirius asking, what does Fantasy Draft mean? Is this some different league? So, for this season of DCL, which is a team tournament, I'm running like a fantasy thing where you can pick some players on your like fantasy roster, and if they win, you get points. And there's a budget and all that stuff. The link down below to see all like the rules and stuff. But it's just a fun little thing we're doing along the season. And I'm just here doing some Preds and stuff, and then making my own picks for it. But yeah, if you want to join, links down below. It's a lot of fun. Makes watching the games a little bit more interesting. Yeah, I think Theo probably is favored here. Like, the Torn is really annoying to switch into. Like, Heatran and Zeraora getting knocked is a really big deal, I feel like, and nothing else really wants to come in at all. So, probably just going to be like a knock U-turn kind of Torn. Standard stuff for Theo. Probably Toxic as well. And maybe not Toxic, but definitely knock U-turn. Paddocks has a lot of knock. He does have a lot of knock, so he could play around like T-Spikes, knock stuff. What the hell is this stream time? I just got home from staying late at work. You and me both, brother. You and me both. Okay, one interesting thing is the Araquanid is a big threat. Big threat. I'm looking at Liquidation plus Leech Life. No switch-ins. Maybe Buzzwole can take it, but you run like mixed with like Hydro Pump or something. Like Hydro Pump, Liquidation, Leech Life. That's a big threat. That's a big threat, that Araquanid. Vacation plus worked extra today. It can happen. Is Araquanid good enough to solo Theo's team? low key, he's pretty shiced. He's pretty shiced. Would you run like a stockpile set with like leftovers and just live in front of everything? Leech life recovery versus everything. I know you're gonna get encored, but like Sable can't come in on like a hydro pump or a surf. Yeah, Araquanid look really good. There is a Buzzwole, yes, but you can run mixed Araquanid. It's not that bad. Yeah, I kind of like that. Like, why is Araquanid your biggest threat though? That's like, that has to be wrong. Maybe Heatran can trap the Slowking with Magma Taunt. I don't know, Heatran is like a really good tool versus fat teams. So Magma Taunt could come here. I wonder if you see like Mental Herb Slowking to like get the slow teleport off. Heatran Deepster class matchup. Yeah, Heatran's pretty good. Is it enough to pred Paddocks though over Theo? What's Theo's like win condition here? Because that's kind of important. Is it like Reuniclus? I mean, Reuniclus has to get through Crocodile, which is not an easy task, and Heatran as well. Magma taunting it. It's torn late game, but there's always going to be a Zeraora in the back. I do think it's a Paddocks matchup, yeah. I think Zuch is right. So we'll pred Paddocks, call it a day. Move on. Alright. Tidal versus iPro. It's a Keldeo mirror in Sun and Moon, which is a rare sight. Alright, Coco has like unresisted stab coverage, which is nice because Kartana does not count. Coco 6-0, yeah, exactly. I wonder if you should bring like Specs Coco here. Like, honestly, it looks really good. You just click Dazzling Gleam a lot. Like, Dazzling Gleam is really unguardable, especially if you're able to like Pursuit Trap the Victini, you just click Dazzling Gleam. So I think Victini is like... It's really hard for Victini to actually do stuff here. Because there's Dragonite as like a switch in to like most moves, and then Alolan Muck to threaten the Pursuit Trap. Kind of annoying. Modest Coco too? Yeah. Yo, do we continue the iPro is washed storyline and just pred Tidal? I think F it, we ball. Tidal, go. Okay, but like, low-key, what's the counterplay? Is Chomp like God here? Not really. I mean, it's pretty good. SDZ move to get through like a defensive Mew, maybe? Kinda interesting, right? How's the Serp looking? Okay, Serp also completely 6-0s if you're trapping the Victini with Alolan Muck. So I think Tidal's game plan should just be Pursuit Trap Victini, win with Serp Coco. Like, it does seem very simple, right? Titled her best after this washing. How I stumbled across this at midnight. Hey man, we gotta. Yeah, I think Tidal has the matchup for sure. Alright, Rob Jr. versus Aberforth. Let's see. Pokemon Lounge. Yep. I did enjoy the two separate posts of the first 3-week like reviews from you guys. Toxic and Dawn. That was funny to see. Like the complete opposite in the title. Alright. So Mega Gallade, there's a Clef and a Crobat, so definitely not great. Yeah. Getting put down. Yeah. Is Gren good here? I mean, Gren looks pretty good. I wonder if it's like AV Electros or something as a Gren check, or if it's like Spadef Clef, and then like Crobat is your main Gallade answer, because Clefable does need quite a lot to check Gallade. It needs max Fizdef and potentially like a Kiwi Berry to deal with +2 Poison Jab, because max attack Gallade +2 Poison Jab versus max defense Clefable, that's a 50% roll. I just know this from that matchup happening many times over the years. But yeah, it could be Kiwi Clef, could be Spadef, could be Fizdef. It's really not too clear what this Clefable could possibly be. I mean, Moonblast is pretty good into a lot of things. Like, the main 3 offensive threats are all weak to Moonblast. So you could honestly see something like a Scarf Clefable. We've seen that before versus Mega Gallades. Kind of a more offensive, like, revenge kill kind of thing. Pivot in. Yeah, Glop, exactly. Scarf Clef. And you also have, like, the option to trick Scarf the Klefki or the Slowbro. That's a good thing, right? I wonder if you run, like, Moonblast Trick Calm Mind Soft Boiled. Is that kind of broken or no? And then, like, be offensive? I feel like that's kind of shiced, no? Regardless, Clefable's really good here. Megazard, also really good here. I wonder if you run like mixed with Overheat for the Dawn Fan, because that will just nuke it. You also avoid Aftermath from the Skuntank, which could very well be Helmet Aftermath trying to chip down the Zard on a Flare Blitz. Could definitely be. Yeah, you're gonna underspeed Gren. I know, but like, shut up. It's still good. Yeah, Zard looking mighty threatening. Yeah, because Gren can't really kill it. Mega Gallade can hurt it, but not kill it. So it should be like a 2-for-1 trade if this Megazard is played properly. Bezuch. Yeah. I don't know, is this Kyurem Black any good? I feel like the Bronzong is probably going to be good enough. I don't know. Switch in, get rocks up, sack it. Shout out. Justin Slowbro. See, the problem with preding Rob Jr. is that then that would mean I'm predicting the Yoshis to win versus Surfers like 6-1 or like 6-2. I think Kyurem White would have a stronger matchup here. You might be onto something here. You might be. Yeah, I do actually kind of like Abe's matchup a little bit more. That being said, this one could go either way. I'm going to pred Abe, though. Let's look at Judgment versus Alliance next. So Lax versus JCM Shadow, that's a strong matchup of players. Alright, and he's using this, like... What is this? This is a new team, right? I got Surfers 7-1 Agent winning. Yeah, I also said Agent was winning. The Lax Shadow. What are the major threats here? So Darkrai, what are we looking at? Clefairy, Overquill as the main Dark Resist. I mean Cobalion as well. Kind of forced to hit a Focus Blast into that guy. Do you bring Nasty Plot Focus Blast? I feel like that's something Lax would do. But also, could just run like Will-O-Wisp, right? Cripple the Overquill and the Cobalion just with a Wisp. Seems pretty reasonable. And this Cobalion is like kind of annoying, to be honest. Like, how do you switch into Cobalion? Latios, I guess, but that getting T-Waved sucks. A Volt Switch on Quillfish is really bad. Moltres is fine, but Stone Edge does exist. Like, Cobalion only has 4 moves, but whichever 4 moves he brings, it's going to be scary to figure out which 4 those are. Cobalion underrated in SV. Like, the body press sets are pretty good, I'm not going to lie. Like, they hit very hard. Alright, Iron Treads here. Looks pretty good. Like, you could see a clear Amulet set with Ice Spinner for Lando T. I have a feeling that's probably going to be the set. Right, just spin EQ, Ice Spinner, And like what, Heavy Slam? Heavy Slam seems reasonable. Knockoff is also reasonable. Or like Rocks. Could be Rocks Spin. What you're looking at, it's probably going to be Rocks in that slot. I don't think we're bringing Clefairy. Although you could bring Clefairy into Raging Bolt, to be honest. Like, it's not the worst matchup for it. Raging Bolt, Latios. Yo, is that a Clefairy mirror in SV in the year of our Lord, 2025? Might be kind of crazy. Yeah, that reminds me, a coworker tried to tell me it was 2026, but it wasn't a joke. He actually thought that. I think JCM has matchup, but I worry about Moltres after Raging Bolt Terras. I mean, the Moltres... I mean, there's fire resists. Is there flying resist, though? Not really. So, connect some Hurricanes, maybe you can break through. I don't know, I feel like the Latios should be able to handle it. All things considered. And, like, you're gonna miss one, right? How's the Cornerstone looking? There's a Cobalion, but low kick does exist and you are faster. So Ivy Cudgel low kick kind of covers the whole team. There's no need for grass coverage at all versus this. So you can kind of fit like a Swords Dance Spikes or like U-Turn or Knock or something like that. Some like utility on this Ogerpon. Maybe Synthesis, honestly, because you're playing against Ninetales. May as well pack Synthesis on that guy. If you're relying on Lottie to check Moltres, then Urshifu gonna touch you? I mean, that's always gonna happen no matter what. That's just what Urshifu does. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the thing with Urshifu here is it's slower than pretty much everything, which is like really bad for the Urshifu. Like, you're gonna get some damage off, but it will be revenged. Especially if you run something like a Scarf Raging Bolt, which they could definitely do. We've seen Scarf Raging Bolt into Iron Treads before with Weather Ball on like Sun teams. It could be that, right? With like Terra Fire. I don't know if you need Terra Fire. Probably not, right? You'd be what? You'd be Terra Electric, maybe? I think Terra Electric makes a lot of sense if you're Scarf Raging Bolt. Yeah, I like that a lot, actually. That looks very threatening. We're just loading up Scarf Shifu and getting the clicks right. Noctua support from Ogre and Rai. I suppose it's a possibility, yeah. I wonder if you do that and then you tear your Ogerpon. Because Ivy Cudgel is really, really hard to switch into for this team. Maybe you can like get away with Cobalion coming in and then pivoting to Landorus. But still, that's like 2 turns you have to get right. And even then, right? Orlando getting in is like, it's fine, you know? I don't know, I see a lot of ways for both of them to approach this offensively. And I'm like, what are you supposed to do for both sides? So it's gonna be a good game. Depends on who outplays, who outpreps. I don't think anyone has a matchup advantage per se. For predictions, though, I'm going to trust in... I'm going to trust in Lax here. You think it's still JCM favored? I mean, I could see him winning, of course. I think it's pretty much 50-50 to me. But I'll vote Lax. Alright. PZZ versus Dougal. Dougal saying he was struggling very hard with this matchup. Why? Why? So Hydrapple is kind of annoying, right? Could be Terra Poison to deal with Mousecrata Keldeo pretty well. Could be Terra Fairy to do the same, but also cover Dragonites. So Fairy is just better than Poison, it looks like, so awesome. How's the treads looking? Like, if you go for like a Poison or Fairy Hydrapple, the treads is really annoying, right? Once you knock the Rotom, that's like your main switch, and after that you have to start sacking, I think. Maybe you're fine? I don't know. It would be what? EQ knockoff spinner? Spin? So then actually it doesn't fit Heavy Slam for like a Fairy Hydrapple. So maybe just bank on that and go Fairy Hydrapple anyways. I could see that. I mean, Meowscarada, this is not fantastic for it. The Hydrapple does kind of just hard wall it. Dougal getting his booty munched by Roaring Goob. That is true. That is very true, yes. What's the Keldeo set you bring into this? Honestly, I'm just loading up Spexterra Water. TBH, honestly. Because I think the Hydrapple shouldn't be a water resist type. Like, I think it's pressure to be something else. Just by the Meowscarada. So, yeah, I'd say Specs Keldeo plus maybe a Scarf Meowscarada to deal with Roaring Moon. Stuff like that. Yeah, I think Scarf Meow, Specs Keld. I could see 4 attacks Treads. I could also see Spin 3. It depends. Could be Rocks, but like Mesprit is probably better at that in this matchup. Low-key Terra Meta is good here too. I think you just Terra the Hydrapple though, right? If you don't Terra the Hydrapple, you're like asking to lose to Meowscarada, I think. Like very, very, very nicely you're asking, but you are asking. Agility late game? I don't think it's gonna sweep though. Because like you have to deal with Iron Treads, which will live 1. You have to deal with Scarf Meowscarada still being faster than Agility Metagross, I'm pretty sure. And then Vacuum Wave E-Speed, potential Sucker Punch, like all these things probably stop a Agility Metagross sweep. Also like Thundurus lives, like, I don't know. Just by Dougal telling me he's doing a bad time in Mox, I'm gonna vote for PZZ here. Yeah. But yeah, let's move on. Yurdunk versus Kyle. Alright. So Iron Valiant is like kind of Jesus in this matchup. Like you have to bring the Swalot, and then Swalot will let in Gliscor like 20 times throughout the game to get free spikes up. Would you even be Spikes Gliscor, or would you be Swords Dance? I feel like you would be Spikes in this matchup. Swords Dance is just going to get revenged by Urshifu and like Ice Beam Darkrai. Wow, nice. 1 fight resist. Yeah, Yurdunk's winning this one. Like, let's be super for real right now. Yurdunk is winning. I've seen enough. Alright, Agency versus High Jump Sean with the like Walmart Sun type thing. I don't know what this team is. It's definitely interesting though. And Agency has like kind of a more standard like Meowscarada, Keldeo, Treads kind of thing. Hey, wow, Meowscarada, Keldeo, Treads. Who's seen that one before? But anyways, let's look at the Walking Wake matchup, because that's usually like the main guy doing a lot on the Sun builds. And like, honestly, it looks like it kills everything. You just run Spexterra Water and you kill the entire roster. Like, what are you supposed to do? Are we running like Terra Water AV on either Electros or Mesprit? Or maybe even Keldeo? I feel like the answer is, yeah, you kind of have to, right? What else are you supposed to do? Maybe AV Fez can hold it off, but I kind of doubt it, you know? ST Sleep Powder, Terra Blast, Ground, Lilligant, who want me? I mean, that also wins. Yeah, so Sean can just choose what he wants to win with. Awesome. Is there any counterplay available? Meowscarada into Tinkaton, you hate to see that. Keldeo into Cresselia in Sun. Yeah, you're just cooked, man. You're just cooked. Voting for Sean next. And then Addison already won this game versus Hydra, so we don't need to do Preds for that. Right. Jake versus II. Let's take a look here. Jake with the same team that he's been spamming all season, but to be fair, it has looked very good. The Sceptile does look pretty decent here. Might force an AV Tangrowth, which would also double as a Feeny check. So I could definitely see an AV Tangrowth coming. What's the Infernape check? Maybe like a Scarf Zygarde low-key on the Lokes. Yeah, it's really hard to be like a fat defensive Zygarde and be slower than Infernape, because you're just going to get followed by HP Ice on a mixed set. So that's why like Scarf is kind of more like the standard Infernape check that I've seen more often than not. But also you could just sack something and use that as setup fodder to DD against the Infernape, right? Good night, bro. Good luck with the stream. Gotta wake up early and build for PGP. I'll have some time tomorrow and all Sunday for mocks. Alright, I'll see you tomorrow. I'm also hoping to wake up early, but we'll see how that goes, because I've been waking up at noon the past few days. It is what it is. The Mega Diancie, let's see. There's a Metagross, which is like decent switch-in, but Earth Power does exist. I mean, Bullet Punch is going to be enough to keep that in check most likely. So Diancie, maybe not the greatest matchup. It doesn't like threaten Okos on anything at all besides Mega Sceptile, which you're slower than, and it Okos you, so I don't really like the Diancie matchup that much. So one thing that's interesting, right? Does the Drapion have any reason to come here? It's the Necrozma answer, right? So what's the 6 from Jake? Is it top 4 Drapion Sceptile? No Mamoswine? You're giving up Shard versus Zygarde? And then Electros, you're giving that up versus Thundy T? Like, you have to only bring 6. You can't bring all 8. So what's on the bench for Jake? I think no matter what, you're going to be weak to something, because all these guys have a really, like, defined purpose in the matchup. So no matter what 6, there's going to be an opening for II, whether it's Zygarde, Necrozma, maybe the Thundurus. Like, these 3 together should break any combination of 6 that Jake wants to bring. But Jake gets to choose what he's weak to, which is a pretty powerful thing, because he can just tech on some stuff to cover his weaknesses. Like, say he wants to bench Electros. Well, now he just needs to find some other alternate way of checking Thundurus, which could be Scarf Stone Edge Landorus. It could be, you know, I don't know. It could be a lot of things. AV Metagross, maybe. Maybe you just Ice Shard it and call it a day. Who's to say? Maybe like an AV Mamoswine? Although, I don't know how likely that is. But I think Jake probably has the matchup here. So we're going to prep Jake. Alright, and now Rai versus Jimmy G. Let's see. Thunderous Mirror. Uxie into Mega Gallade. Mega Scizor into Metagross. Like, does anyone have like a good Pokemon in the matchup? Does anyone? I feel like Thundurus is probably the best Pokemon for Rai. But also it needs so much coverage, right? You need what? T-Bolt, HP Ice. Not Ice, but Incinerate, Grass Knot, Psychic. Just 4 attacks, Expert Belt maybe? I could see it. Actually, yeah, you do need HP Ice for the Chomp. So T-Bolt, HP Ice, Grass Knot, Incinerate, and Psychic. So 5 moves on Thundurus. Does look like it is a big threat, but I don't know how likely 5 move slot Thundurus is going to be in this matchup. So again, he gets to choose what he doesn't hit, which is nice, but you do have to not hit something. If I had to pick something, it would probably be the Rhyperior. Is that true? Would I rather not hit Vileplume? I think I'd rather not hit Vileplume and just drop Psychic and bring the other 4 moves. I think that's probably better. Yeah, I don't like the matchup for either of them, but I'm gonna go with Rai and call it a day. Right. Then the last one we're gonna go over is Tacticians versus Foxes. Got Helm versus Sage. Interesting matchup. Helm again using the same team he has been spamming. Sage using the same team she has been spamming, this time with a Terra Lapras on there. Shout out. Yeah. Great Tusk is like pretty interesting here. And Torn could be a fast Pecharunt. One tech that I've seen starting to pop up a little bit more is Destiny Bond Pecharunt as a Great Tusk lure. Because you can come in on Spin Block, right? You could be Balloon, you could be Shookaberry, whatever. You come in as many times as you want, and then once the Tusk finally has the option to take you out, you hit the Destiny Bond and you remove the Tusk, and you've successfully Spin Blocked a Great Tusk with Pecharunt. So I wonder if he goes for like a Spike Stack angle, and then tries that sort of Pecharunt. I could see that. The Torn, I think, quite clearly has to be the dedicated Enamorous check, because otherwise Moonblast is just going to be really obnoxious. Maybe you can run Spadef Pecharunt to deal with that, but in that case it's not dealing with like the spinner at all. Cyclozar is kind of a big-ass threat. You just run like Overheat or Knockoff for Jirachi. You can U-turn on it, you can drop Dracos if you want, you can spam Double Edge, like a lot of things that Cyclozar can do here. All of them pretty reasonable, so it's hard to predict the set. This Ogerpon might be a big issue for Helm. I wonder if you bring Terra Fire on the Torn with like Boots or something. Because then you have like an Ogerpon switch in, you have an Enam switch in, you have somewhat of a Jirachi switch in, right? You get boosted Heat Waves into the Jirachi. I feel like Terra Fire Boots Torn might just be the move here. Because all the things that beat Fire are slower than you and get hit by like a Bleak Wind or something. I guess not Gren, right? But is Gren the biggest issue for you? Low-key, it's pretty good, that Greninja. So probably going to see like a Spadef Rotom Wash, maybe something like that. Maybe Baxcalibur is going to be like bulky Boots to always check a Greninja. That could be a move. I don't know. It's kind of open here. Who do I think is going to win, though? I do kind of like Sage's matchup a little bit. The Enam, Ogerpon, Gren kind of work together to break everything. Like, there's nothing that walls all three of them. So let's go with Sage here for the Pred. And then Jasha versus Genius X using a Zarude Monkey Dory team. Alright, Meowscarada Keldeo. What's the Keldeo set here? There's an Aloe, so something like a Sub-Calm Mind set is definitely a possibility. There's no faster Encore than Keldeo, so you can't exactly punish that with a flip turn into Encore. Let's see. I believe Monkey Dory is also slower than Keldeo, like 106, right? So Keldeo is looking like by far the biggest threat to Genius's team, just on account of like Terra Water Surf, plus like Sub-Calm Mind, plus, you know, Secret Sword maybe for the Zarude. Definitely could see that. Maybe an Aura Sphere is better. I don't know. I'd probably say Secret Sword just to cover like a random AV mon if you wanted to. Would you bring Terra Electric on Keldeo or Terra Water? That's another question, right? Because you want to set up on Zapdos. Like, Terra Electric would allow you to do that, and also you get, like, Terra Blast coverage into Aloe if you wanted. Which you don't really need if you're Sub-Calm Mind. So yeah, I don't really know what Genius is supposed to do about Keldeo. There's, like, multiple sets that just win. Maybe it's, like, Scarf Lando, plus, like... I really don't know, like, what he's supposed to do. I don't know, lose. Fretting Josha, Keldeo's the GOAT. Alright, Fagos versus Undead. Let's see. Another Raging Bolt Mirror. We have 2 Raging Bolt Mirrors this week. Interesting. Yeah, unfortunately the Foxes did kind of blow up their Triple Dragon Sun team. This is what remains of it. They traded for like the Darkrai and Ogerpon, I believe. Or was it Darkrai Lando? They traded something plus Darkrai. Like a 2-for-2 trade. Alright, Gliscor looks like very sad in this matchup. Ice Beam Darkrai, Corviknight Lando, like... I guess like you wall Lando, but like Corviknight, Ice Beam Darkrai, you always just U-turn into Darkrai and it's like completely free in a Gliscor. You probably run Boot Spam if you're Undead. Like, I guess you can defog Corviknight, but like Spike's Taunt Gliscor is a real threat long term. Which I think is what Fagos should be here. Just Earthquake, Taunt, Spikes, maybe U-turn on it. Maybe, maybe Knock, also possible. I could see like a Liquidation Toxapex trying to deal with the Iron Moth, which is not a Terra Pokemon. But it is still pretty threatening. We've seen several Roaring Moons into Corviknight, and we've seen several times bulky weakness policy on the body press into just a complete sweep. So I'm hoping Undead has something prepared for that. But that doesn't seem too difficult. Like, once you know it's coming, it's very easy to stop. I wonder if the Roaring Moon will adapt though, because the obvious answer is just IDEF alongside it, but if the Roaring Moon is Taunt, then that could be pretty good. Especially considering like the Dark Resists are not that crazy. It's Carbink and Darkrai, and maybe a Raging Bolt Terra. It's like Taunt Weakness Policy, DD, Knockoff +1. Or would you go like, No, you would need Knockoff for sure. Knockoff EQ? Is that the play? Or is it like Knockoff Ironhead? Depends on if Ironhead is enough to OHKO Darkrai at +3 after DD and a weakness policy. We'll see though. I could see a set like that just sweeping though. And what's up, Cinerath? Thanks for the member. Appreciate that. Late night stream, huh? Woot woot. Yeah, appreciate that, man. I do kind of like the... I like Undead's matchup aside from that Roaring Moon, which is a big threat. And like the Gliscor is also a big threat. Those two are the most annoying things, I think. The Raging Bolt is a little bit tricky. Like, I think the Carbink probably does have reason to come here. So you have to deal with Carbink plus Lando, like covering your stab options. Maybe it's not too bad. Maybe Fagos is actually like pretty reasonable as a matchup. Yeah, I don't think the Ogerpon is very good in this game. So you probably low-key bench this for like Carbink or something. Like low-key. Maybe bring it anyways though. I don't know, it's just a good Pokemon. Let's go ahead and Pred for... Let's Pred for Fagos. Villain Arc. Alright, let's go. Habita versus Mind Gaming. Why did Tacticians draft 3 Molas? They want to be you so bad. I get it though. Alright, Habita versus Mind Gaming. Habita with his signature Zarude. Okay, this team, we had a Zarude versus and we brought Choice Banded, right? Or no, we haven't played this one yet. We played a similar team with Corviknight, Ogerpon, but not quite the same one. So what could Zarude be here? You could see like a Terra Fairy kind of thing, kind of deal with the top 4 very handily. But then you're kind of just walled by Pex, Corv, Ogerpon. Like the bottom 3 is super annoying trio to deal with as a Zarude, because you want Taunt for the Toxapex, you want like Sword Stance knockoff or something for the Corviknight, and then obviously Ogerpon is a big annoying thing because it can Encore you, it can Charm you. We've seen already in this season an Ogerpon Hearthflame with those 2 moves, like just to shut down a Zarude, which should do a pretty good job here, I'm not gonna lie. And then offensively, the Ogerpon is a really good Pokemon as well. Like, what is Habita supposed to switch into it? Like, nothing long term. Maybe the Cyclizar, but I don't know, that doesn't feel the sturdiest of all time. But I think I'm gonna give the matchup advantage to Mind Gaming, it looks like. Because something like the Deoxys Speed, you have to deal with Corviknight and the Tinglu, which is a lot to ask for. Zapdos is pretty good, but obviously there's always the threat of Terra Electric Nasty Plot on the Torn, which would just win the game, I think, low-key. Like it would do a lot of work if it's able to come in on Zapdos and Nasty Plot up. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Mind here, and then the thumbnail matchup: Toxic versus C, 2 undefeated players going at it. This will be a great game to watch for sure. There's a Weavile, there's a Scrafty for it, there's a Sylveon. These are like decent Weavile checks, but not the greatest ever, because obviously both neutral to ice. So you could probably see, would it be Boots Sword Stance or Choice Banded Weavile? Because low-key you can kind of spam Axel into this team and not worry too much about it, because like Jellicent, the switch into Weavile? I don't think so. I don't know. I would probably say Boots Sword Stance is a little bit better. But we'll see what Toxic decides to go with. The Scizor looking pretty contained, right? By the Steela. Always going to have fire coverage on that guy. Maybe outside of that it's pretty annoying, but there's also Wisp Jellicent. Which, by the way, no immunities to Wisp, so... But I think Jellicent looks like it has a pretty nice matchup here. Kind of like soft checks Lando, Scizor, Dragalge, or Shifu Rapid. A pretty nice matchup for the Jellicent, all things considered. I think it's definitely going to be on the team. I wonder if it's like Culverberry for the Weavile, like Culverberry Wisp. I could definitely see as an option here. The Landorus Therian probably going to be especially defensive to deal with the opposing Lando, if I had to guess. Probably get rocks up and just knock U-turn, that sort of thing. There's no great switch into Latios, is something to note, right? Because you just run Draco plus Mystical Fire, and there's nothing that really wants to come in on that. Like, you can slot Psychic on there if you want, 3 attacks. You can put Ice Beam for the Lando. Just a really nice offensive Latios matchup, just in general. Scrafty, I'd like to see Rocky Helmet here. Fizdef for the Weavile. Something to punish Triple Axel a little bit nicer. Because Sylveon, I mean, it's bulky, but physically it's going to be 2-hit KO'd by Choice Band Weavile or something like that. So Scrafty, probably the better choice for that. Also kind of doubles as, you know, something of a Scizor check with Fire Punch. So I could definitely see a Fizzdef Scrafty being an option here. Could also see something like Dragon Dance Scrafty low-key, because what's actually checking DD Scrafty? Not a whole lot, to be honest. Could be a big threat in the end game. If we see like Scrafty is being like conserved in the back and not used as a switch into stuff, it could very well be DD. Definitely a possibility. It can't get encored by Prankster Whimsicott thanks to its dark typing. Alright, let's look at the other side. What's the Scizor going to be? I mean, Bullet Punch knockoff seems to cover pretty much everything. Sword Stance perchance, maybe Occaberry trying to trade favorably into the Celesteela. Could definitely be a play. The Landers has to do with opposing Lando, Latios, Celesteela, Sylveon. It's a lot for the Lando to deal with, so it's probably just going to be like, I don't know, maybe some knock set, get rid of like leftovers and stuff on Steela. I could see that. Maybe Gravity Earth Power could definitely be an option, but again, if Latios is the answer to it, you just spent a turn Gravitying and you're forced out immediately by the threat of Ice Beam. I don't know. I don't see any like fantastic Lando sets in the matchup. Maybe Dragalge's interesting enough, but I mean, again, there's a Steela. Like, this looks very difficult for Toxic outside of the Weavile, which is pretty good, but yeah, I think overall the matchup I'd give to C. So we're gonna Pred C here. Now it's Nim versus K-Crick. We have a Ultra Moon Mega Venusaur on my screen. That's definitely new. Shout out to mid-season. Going up against a Usum Mega Gardevoir, also something we haven't seen in a very long time. So it honestly is looking more like an ORAS matchup, if I'm being 100% for real. Like, low-key though, this is an ORAS team versus an ORAS team. But that being said, you know, guard kind of 6-0s outside of Metagross, which you have a Skarm for, you have a Jirachi. Yeah, that's already making me like Nim's matchup. And you have a Greninja, which is like walled by Mega Venusaur, Rotom Wash, I guess. Lando, maybe it could be like a Smackdown or Gravity set to pressure the Skarm to open up something like your Metagross, to open up your Mega Venusaur a little bit more. I can see that for sure. How's the Zygarde looking? There's no 1000 Arrows resist, but there is double Intimidate, which is about as close as you can get to a solid Zygarde matchup. So, could be physically defensive Lando T, could be physically defensive Granbull. Either way, you're going to have something for the Zygarde either way. Just nothing super solid. Could be Choice Banded, could be like Dragon Dance Z. Although I think Choice Band is probably going to be a little bit better in this matchup. I wonder if the Jirachi is going to be like a Healing Wish set. I could see it. Or is it going to be like Rocks Jirachi Spikes Skarm? I mean, the removal from K-Crick is not fantastic. It's just Rotom and Lando as like defoggers. I'm not too sure how much of a fan I am of those in here. So maybe you Spike Stack as Nim and just try to win with Gardevoir plus Banded Zygarde plus Greninja cleaning up the end game. You could be a Z Greninja trying to snipe the Mega Venusaur with like Psyche MZ, or just like you could just be Specs Dark Pulse, because like what honestly wants to come in on a Dark Pulse? It's just Umbreon, but then like if Umbreon comes in, that's always a free Mega Gardevoir, and you're gonna click Hyper Voice and you're gonna get some progress done. So I don't know. I feel like Nim's matchup is pretty nice. What's K-Crick's offensive matchup looking like though? Zam, is it good? There's a Jirachi, there's a Scrafty, so a lot of coverage is forced, like Dazzling Gleam plus Shadow Ball plus Psychic. Probably gonna be the move. Yeah, that covers everything it looks like. And then maybe something for Skarmory, Focus Blast, or maybe Charge Beam. But either way, not really breaking Spidef Skarm, I don't think. Maybe run HP Ice on Zam to one-shot Zygarde. That could be definitely an option. Like, Infernape seems like the best breaker on paper. Salazzle could be used as a one-time pivot. I don't know. I think I'm gonna vote for Nim, because I like the matchup. And I hate K-Crick. Alright, now last one, Blidius versus Mayo. Got a Mega Sableye here. So both teams rocking the Magic Bounce. However, one of them has a Volcarona to abuse that, and the other one has a Torn. Interesting. The Weavile looks like a big threat. Hate you too. Oh, I appreciate that, man. Keep it up. We can hate watch each other. It's kind of cute. Huh. I really don't like Mayo's matchup at first glance. Like, what are you supposed to do? What is my breaker? You have like Skarm Rotom Wash, which covers everything ever on Mayo's team. Like, what are you supposed to do? Maybe like Torn plus Lando can like eventually wear down the Rotom Wash, but maybe you take advantage of Rotom Wash coming in by setting spikes with Roselia, but if the Espeon comes, then that's a no-go. And like, you're probably gonna see Defog Skarm anyways, so... Yeah, it's looking rough, man. It's looking really rough. And then the Gardevoir is like low-key really decent. I wouldn't say really, really amazing, because there's a Jirachi and a Snorlax, but Will-O-Wisp hits both as a coverage move. So Hyper Voice, Will-O-Wisp, maybe Wish Protect. Definitely a big threat to Mayo's team. The Weavile is also very annoying. Basically forced to bring the Azu for that guy, which is going to get helmeted by Skarm very quickly. Maybe random tech of like Focus Punch into a Roosting Skarm, and then that's what opens up your like offensive guys, like your Lando. But even then, right? I guess Skarm isn't the first response to Lando anyways, it would be the Rotom. I think you're just cooked, man. This matchup looks really good for Blitz, so I'm gonna Pred Blitz. Try to prove me wrong, I guess. I don't know. Looks really good. And that's gonna be all of my Preds, aside from my own series, which I will not do Preds on the stream. But yeah, we're winning 8-0. You already know. So who am I going to Pred for my fantasy pick? Let's see. Got a pricing calculator here. And let's use this slot here. So I think because it's in my thumbnail and everything, we're gonna go with C as the Swish slot. It's a potential for double points. It's a 7k budget, so that's pretty nice. And then C is a great player with a pretty even matchup, if I remember correctly. Also, just being on the thumbnail, I have to, you know? But for SV, who am I actually predding for SV? Let's see. I did think that Lejon had a nice matchup, so I might go for Lejon, because he's like really inexpensive. He's also playing against someone who I think is maybe not the best player ever. So I think that's definitely an option. Lejon. Let's pencil that in. Lejon Flames. I think Harris is also a potential pick. We'll keep that in mind. I think Yurdunk is a very easy pick. I really like Yurdunk's matchup. So we're going to go Yurdunk. Just slot that immediately. I think for Sean, this Sun matchup looks really, really nice. I would be really surprised if agency was able to cook up anything to like beat this. That being said, the gouging fire into sun, maybe that's your ticket out. Maybe it's a little bit scary. I don't know. We'll see. I could consider mind gaming, probably. I could be convinced of this. I could vote PZZ because Dougal said he was really struggling in mocks. I don't know. I think I'm gonna go for Sean. Go for Sean and who else? Potentially Harris or PZZ. How expensive is PZZ right now? 10k? I think Harris is a little bit more. No, he's actually less. So we'll see. We'll leave that one blank for now and come back to it. See how much budget we have. Alright, so Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. Let's see. I think Tidal is a potential upset. How expensive is iPro? And then Tidal is, oh, just outside of range of an upset modifier. Unlucky. I do like Tidal's matchup quite a bit. Or I could go for Jake. I think Jake is also a reasonable pick. Nim and K-Crig, I think I'm not as confident in the matchup. But how expensive was Jake? 15k? I still have 26k budget. I think I'm okay with that, to be honest. Yeah, let's go for Jake here. And then for Oras, let's see. I did like Abe. I think Abe is a solid pick. Actually, no, we're going for Blitz, right? That matchup is too nice. And then I have 15k for VGC plus my last SV. So for VGC, I'm just gonna pick someone as usual. Let's see. Do I go for my teammate? I don't know. My teammate's the GOAT. Let's go for my teammate, Lindworm. And then I have 7.5k, which actually is Harris exactly. So there we go. That's my fantasy roster. Feel free to copy if you want to lose, because I've historically not been too hot in these, but that's gonna be it. Thanks for watching. I'll put this in a minute, and yeah, if you want to put in your own fantasy stuff, links in the description, all that stuff. Put in your own submission. Yeah, a lot of fun. Alright, thanks for watching.